There's this kind of mentality that people were buying just above 20,000, so for it to flush below, psychologically, a lot of them will jump out and get scared, and then price usually recovers. So in the very near term, I'm in the camp that we still have a little bit more upside to go. So I could see us bouncing back to 25.5 or so, maybe even 28. But I want to caveat that with saying that this is still a bear market.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Daily Crypto. Today we have Gareth Soloway making a lot of sense from the current tantrum in the crypto space. Gareth Soloway makes his predictions on the rise and drops in Bitcoin price. This time let's see if Soloway would be bringing in the chart and sticking to his last prediction on a price target of 12,000 thereabouts. Few forecasters have predicted that the Bitcoin market is in an ice age, while others like Gareth Soloway believe that we will not be stuck at this point for so long. And it is likely that we will recover between the $25,000 to a $28,000 price range. These past few months have been the most delicate time for Bitcoin. As it is the largest digital asset, we experienced a huge fall in price, affecting the stock market in general. So while we consider the crash in price, according to Gareth Soloway, it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep our heads up, hoping that the prices would climb up in days to come. Before diving into Gareth Soloway's Bitcoin price prediction, if you love this content, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting topics in the crypto space. Let's dive in.
There's this kind of mentality that people were buying just above 20,000, so for it to flush below, psychologically, a lot of them will jump out and get scared, and then price usually recovers. So in the very near term, I'm in the camp that we still have a little bit more upside to go. So I could see us bouncing back to 25.5 or so, maybe even 28. But I want to caveat that with saying that this is still a bear market. This is still an ice age, like you referred to it as. The charts are still pointing to overall further downside. You're right about a lot of the issues that are occurring. The Celsius news, the Terra Luna collapse, all of those are very much like the dot-com bubble bursting in 2000. And I think that's what crypto is going through right now. And if there's one thing I remember from that period, it was the very, very start of my career, is that it didn't end with just a few blow-ups, right? You have to see more. You have to get more downside there. You have to get to a point where investors are ready to totally throw their hands up in despair. And while a lot of investors are still, they're hurting, the average investor, I think, is in from $50,000, $60,000. They're not fully ready to give up just yet. And I know that sounds horrible, but that's how market bottoms are put in, and that is ultimately what I
If we consider the charts in 2017 in comparison with 1905 and the present situation, we would see that similar situations occur in the market space, making it appear normal. According to Soloway, we could also see that in that period, investors had their way around it. Their way of making sure that the price recovers is to make people buy at a price just above 20,000. And when the price goes toward a fall, the people are afraid of losing it all, so the majority gets scared, and the stock gets back up. So following these past occurrences, Soloway believes that the similarity of the situations may warrant similar solutions and results. And if we are correct with this, the prediction is that the price in the Bitcoin market will soon shift, and we are likely to recover the price range from 12,000 to 25,000, and maybe 28,000 on a good market day.
Think is going on here. So I do have a target that remains right around 12,000. So I fine-tuned it a little bit. The 12,000 level gives us a measured move. So if you take a look here, and this is kind of just some cool technical analysis, if you take this move down right here, right? So from this high down, which was a straight shot, then you had this kind of consolidation pattern. And then if you take this high down here, the measured move, meaning this distance to this distance, that's the exact distance from here to where the bottom should be put in. In addition, Bitcoin during its winters, its past bear markets, corrects 80 to 85%. If you correct that in this period, you get 12,000-ish, give or take, as well. So there's a lot of confluence of levels at around 12,000 where my next target is.
Well, for now, we are still on edge and presently in an ice age. Looking at the charts in recent times, particularly since the beginning of this month, the prices in the stock market have been declining and reaching a greater fall. The present situation in the crypto market can be likened to many reoccurring issues, like the Celsius restricting withdrawals and the Terra Luna collapse. To experience a rise, we may have to go through more of these falls in price. Still, the good news is, despite being in despair, investors are unwilling to give up. Not yet.
So when we were below 20,000, you
Yeah.
saw so much bear market kind of sentiment, and the markets tend to wait and kind of lure people back in. So even in this mid area here, when we were back to these highs of 47, 48,000, I was hearing, oh, we're going right back to all-time highs. This is the big breakout. This is all that stuff. And the markets still need to kind of do that here, in my opinion, in which case they have to move up. You have to start getting that sentiment, that hope back. And the markets are evil like that, and not literally evil, but they like to get people to start to believe again, and then they crush their dreams.
Oh,
And that's just the way markets work.
We are currently at the tail end of the tantrum, according to Gareth Soloway. The risk involved would hit hard on investors. However, the fall is just for a short while.
As much as I am a believer that there's a decent chance of going to 12,000, maybe even lower, right? I don't know for sure. There's also a chance it doesn't get there. So what I have done here is I basically selected and I said to myself, how much money am I willing to invest in Bitcoin in this bear market when it gets down to this area or below? I took that amount, let's just say $1 million, right?
right.
And I divide it into 6 categories, 6 even amounts. And when we were at 19,000, I took my first 1/6 and I bought Bitcoin there. And what I'm going to do is every $2,500 to $3,000 down, I'm going to buy another 1/6 position, eventually accumulating a full 6/6 position, right? And so the idea is
Yeah.
I've been around the block enough where I understand that sometimes downside targets don't fully get achieved and sometimes they overshoot. So I don't try to pick the exact bottom. Once we get near, I just start slowly dollar cost averaging in, knowing that my long-term view on Bitcoin is still extremely, extremely bullish. 65K will be a low target for when this thing takes off in the next cycle.
Last year, when Bitcoin was 60,000, investors of the stock market envisioned its rise to 100,000 and maybe as high as 500,000 by November 2021. Of course, we all didn't see this coming, but since the crypto market is volatile, risks are expected as well as rises and drops in price. The current situation may warrant many people in the outside world to think that this may be the end of Bitcoin, but Gareth Soloway's prediction might be enough to prove them wrong.
Just use your logic, right? Logic is the most powerful thing in investing, but so many people get caught up in emotion instead to make their decisions. But if you think about how eventually we're going to slide back into a big recession, the Fed eventually is going to have to print more money. Central banks have already printed tons of money. There's a general need from a people's perspective all over the globe for this alternate to fiat currencies that cannot be printed willy-nilly. I mean, all of these factors make us need some sort of digital currency. Now you could say, well, gold could fill that role. I agree it does, but try, sending gold over countries, right? I mean, you can't pick up a bag of gold and just walk to the airplane and carry it easily. The key to crypto is how easily it can be transferred from country to country, how quickly, and how, again, it doesn't have that endless printing ability like fiat currency. So I'm in the camp that this is now the beginning of the end of the drop. Yes, it's going to get uglier. Yes, it's going to get harder for a lot of investors, but I do think below 20,000 gets us very close to that bottom, maybe around 12, maybe sub 12. But in the scheme of things, when you're talking about a move from 65,000 down, we're kind of at the tail end, right? We've already come down 40, 45, 50,000. Now we just have to do maybe another 10 or 5.
The significance of cryptocurrency diversification is demonstrated by the fact that it decreases the risk of permanent loss in the event that one of the assets in the crypto portfolio crashes, while the other assets retain their value or experience an all-time higher profit. Overall, the various assets work together to improve the portfolio.
In general, I like to stick with kind of the top 20 coins because those are the biggest market caps. Those are the safest. Granted, Terra Luna taught us it wasn't necessarily all safe though, so you still have to be diversified. I will tell you this, is that as I accumulate my longer term hold position, like I picked up a little Bitcoin, I am looking to do that to Ethereum as well if it gets down to, let's say, 825, 800.
According to Gareth Soloway, If you don't enjoy losing money, you may want to consider, alongside your Bitcoin investments, other safest blue chip type cryptocurrencies.
So here's Cardano, right? And I'm going to get rid of some of these other lines because these are just other lines I don't want to confuse people with. But basically, Cardano is borderline maybe breaking out. And what you can see here, as I erase this last one, is you have this beautiful wedge pattern. And look at how Cardano is hitting on this line right here. If Cardano can get through this line, which is around 50 cents, 51 cents, you actually get a near-term breakout. And I think your short-term upside, your near-term upside would be back to about 65, 66 cents. So that's something I'm actually watching on the Cardano chart. Now, on the same respect, if it breaks this line here, you have a move down to about the 39-cent level here. So right now, I like the fact that it's hammering on this level. We just need one little push to get it through, and I think you get another substantial pop all the way back to this high here. Now, granted, if you look at the bigger chart, it's still way, way down there, but as a technical trader, we have to go by short-term levels, right? So if it gets to that next level, we can say, okay, well, if it breaks this now, where's your next target? And we can go from there. But right now, we're focusing on this wedge pattern.
Speaking of diversification, what is your ideology on the best fundamentals of crypto investing strategy? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like this video, share, and subscribe to our channel. This is the Daily Crypto. See you in our next video. Bye for now.